Okay.
Oh,
Oh, Give up. Uh, you can do it in settings. Oh, that said that change my. Change the my this is random. Have you ever had Ralph time? Have you ever given it to yourself? Oh, okay.
but I took it over the summer.
Over the summer, yeah. You got for the entire summer. That's one of the perks of our
Into that.
Hi. Hello.
These are not just names, these are leaders who said enough is enough. Enough of, quote, watching their peers scroll their lives away. Enough of the chronic burnout. Enough that the youth only have 7 minutes daily averages of specific outdoor time. And enough of these are leaders who said enough is enough.
Oh, sorry. Continue.
They've chosen to lead the cultural movement towards real human health, starting with stepping outside and reclaiming our biology.
I just need
So the Touch Grass Collective, while nonpartisan, is as well proud to be working in coordination with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and backed by Secretary Kennedy himself. This unprecedented support from the highest levels of public health leadership signals something vital. Our generation's well-being is no longer being ignored. Secretary Kennedy has recognized the power of youth-led cultural change, and through this partnership, we're not just talking, we're being positioned to act at scale, with real tools, resources, and national reach. And yet, despite all this national momentum, one name is still missing, and that's the University of Maryland. We're the flagship university of the state. We are right next to the law and change makers in DC. If there's one school that should be taking the lead on rehumanizing student life and pushing this collective forward, it's us. But right now, we're not in the room. So this October, thousands of us will be gathering on the National Mall to make a statement that we, the students, are awake and organizing. And I want Maryland there. I want you there. So I ask you, don't let Maryland be the last to step outside. Don't be the board that had the opportunity to lead and said maybe next year. Be the board that said let's be first. Let's be loud, let's lead, let's touch grass. I'll be here. We have a form that we're sending to Kennedy and the HHS. So if anybody's interested, like please talk to me.
Thank you so much. The form responses won't be read aloud today, but are sent to you guys in the live channel for review, and then we are going to move on to the roll call. Agriculture Diego.
Present.
Arhi Maya.
Present.
Arhi Mohammed. Vsauce Alexis. Vsauce Leonard. CMNS Shri.
Yep.
CMNS Rishi.
Present.
CMNS Priya. Oakland Ben.
Here.
Denver Nunn. Elkit Malcolm.
Here.
Engineering Eden. Engineering Graham.
Here.
Engineering Julia. First year Menor.
Here.
Spring Ad McShib. Heritage Alvaro.
Here.
Info Sci Sarah. North Hill Kelvin.
Here.
Off campus neighboring Nick.
Here.
Off campus neighboring Zahn. Here. Off campus commuter Sid. Off campus commuter Bell. Off campus commuter Ismail. Public health Grace. South Campus Commons Claudia. Here. South Campus Commons Chris.
Here.
South Hill Clayton. Here. Transfer Claire.
Here.
Undergraduate Studies Maya.
Here.
Undergraduate Studies Kiara. Here. Amazing. Quorum and on-call 22nd meeting of the 2024-2025 legislative session to order. Hunter's not here today, but he did send me a screenshot of the new numbers. If you would open up the doc. It's on, I put it on the top. No. It's the first photo. Yes. Those are the new numbers he said. And what else did he say? He said he's still awaiting reimbursement. Was his note. Awesome. Okay. Then if anyone has questions, feel free to Slack him. Now we're moving on to sign officers time. We're just going to start with a remark from our supervisor.
Everybody, so we have on the docket this. Some of you had. That is the instance in which you guys are all responsible for voting on amendments that will affect next year's legislative session. So the end of omnibus will be the end of this legislative session for the most part. With that in mind, there are a number of different proposed amendments right now that are coming out of CBL. If you want to open them really quickly, it's the first bill on first reading calendar, but the intent was that it's tabled for a week. So that you have 2 weeks, if not 3 weeks, to actually review the amendments, talk to different people about them, and actually consider the implications of each amendment. So there are a number of them on there, and I ask you all to be very diligent as you are going through this. I really mean it when I say that you guys are the ones that make all the mistakes, right? And that's in the sense of understanding what the difference is between things that are relevant to talking about and important to talking about, and what are things that could be clerical edits that a parliamentarian can make changes to later to just leave in transition talks, right? So please, please, please make sure that you review those. I will also be putting up, it will be a separate bill just because I want you guys to be able to have like that the separation with this one. So the current bill on the agenda will be from CBL, and I will have a second bill next week from the presidential package of amendments. There are a number of them, and I can put like in the lunch channel, like a bulleted list of what I wanted to do, slash what I'm waiting on, so that you guys can start thinking about them, so you're not waiting on the technical language of it. But I know the bylaws are inaccessible to read. They are very difficult. They are meant to be clear, but they're not most of the time. And so please, please, please reach out to any leadership if you are having trouble reading or understanding what those. You are not the only one who had trouble understanding. It takes time to understand what the bylaws and governing documents were. If you have any questions, please let us know. And again, please, please, please review those. I know it's a lot, and I know it's a little nuanced, but you're really doing this for your constituencies and for the future of SGA legislative sessions as well. So please take that seriously. And I know it's going to be late nights, so we normally make omnibus GBM, like pajama GBM. I don't know if you guys want to coordinate getting food before you come or bringing food for yourselves to kind of make sure that you guys are well sustained there during everything. But your time and attention is appreciated for that. So thank you guys for that.
Thank you. So the Office of General Counsel and Student Legal Aid will be on Zoom around like 6:30, 6:40. So for now, if you guys are okay, we might as well get started with some cabinet updates and stay later ride. So we can get started with affairs.
Hey guys, nothing crazy this week. Becca is not here today, obviously. She went to the undergraduates to the undergraduate. And they spoke about Reckwell's mission to wellness. These are the notes. If you guys want to write it down, so they're not out. And then you're right back in. And then we have our OER survey is live. We're going to be presenting at County Cab about technical affordability. Your input would be greatly appreciated. And especially for my STEM majors, if you have friends who've ever complained about course-related costs at all, anything fast. Yeah, that's
Thank you. Okay. So she's typing on, here's the here. Oh yeah, go for it.
Megan's gonna put something in the chat later about those of you that those regarding surveys in particular. She will not have the bandwidth to be able to do that amount of surveys between now and the end of her administration on April 23rd. So even by the time the bill passes next week and they would actually have time to start working on them, I just wanted to let you all know that she will not be accepting us. So I guess like she could still fill, but nothing would come out of it. But just wanted to add that, and then you will be putting out a separate statement about it, but she didn't want to.
Thank you. Is DEI here?
Okay, so as for the prejudice prevention and survey, that should be completed by the end of this week. As for recent meetings, I met with Dr. Jones, who's the DI Director of Student Affairs, regarding students' experiences and hate and violence on this campus. Just a gist, she stated that Georgia Dobson initiatives, they will still use what they can use to the max.
And she's also seen an increase in hate bias incidents and increase in students' mental health. And she also believes that there needs to be more awareness about prejudice on campus. As for the cultural competency workshop, the planning is included. We're hoping to have cards and spread them on campus that talk about good working opportunities regarding DEI for students. We're also hoping to collab with RHA and possibly have a meeting with Dr. Patty Thurlow to discuss how students and internships are being impacted by the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Public health and wellness.
Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. So for our updates, last week we had a meeting with Dr. Joshi and Chief Mitchell where we discussed the self-harm reporting initiatives, and we got a lot of good insight out of that meeting about the data that the county center is currently collecting. So we're kind of thinking about initiatives that we could propose for next year to expand upon that data. And then last committee, we had Dr. Jenna Messman come and talk about the reports from the health and promotional wellness services in the UHC. And she was talking about advertising for pregnancy tests and Progress currently working on a communications post for SGA to help promote that. We've also just been working on our health staff presentation outline. The dining hall complaint tabling bill is going up today. And then we've also been working on promotional initiatives for the Center for Healthy Families. And we have a meeting with Dr. Kelly and Division of Student Affairs on the 15th to discuss more initiatives and research. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Sidgo.
So we're just continuing the research on elections in New Jersey and Virginia. And then Georgia, there's something on I'm super. I'll let you on that, sorry.
Thank you. Next up is SMP.
Hi everyone, so we decided to postpone the late night tabling, so those of you who are signing us for this upcoming week, we appreciate your patience. There's some issues with some of the vending with the cup coverage and then also with getting the number of people to sign up. So we're changing them to this week, right? Or to next, I mean this upcoming next week. Nick has already put a sign up sheet in your channel, so please sign up. I've always heard like night tabling is the most fun type of tabling. We also still have the flag demo on April 17th, so we will be starting setups around 5:30. If you can come out to help out, that would be really appreciative. We'll also have signups for that. We'll be doing kind of a take a note, leave a note for survivors and for other students who are affected by the demonstration. So keep an eye out for that. And then in terms of the harm reduction kits, and talking a little bit to HWS about actually having like harm reduction kits that SGA runs, I was under the impression that they wanted to run it and we were just running it. And then they said that they wanted us to run it just because it's the end of the year and I don't think it would be feasible to actually put together a program right now and then expect next year's legislature or exec to actually fill it. I didn't think that was the most responsible thing to do. So I would be holding off on that, but I'll talk about what we did fund for HWS during my speaker.
Thank you. Next up is student. Student affairs.
Oh, there's no update. Okay, well, I guess in committee, we kind of just did like a review of all the bills that are on first reading this week, and yeah, I think planning really changed.
Hey guys, so first up with Earth Fest, we're looking for volunteers. It's on April 17th,
per se. It's gonna be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We also have setup and take down. Fulfillment.
Monthly outreach event. Wait, is that what you're asking?
What?
Is that what you're asking? Okay, yeah, it was festival count, if you table, like, you're a part of helping part, it'll be a monthly outreach.
Yes. Later there. And then for Student Sustainability Summit, that's gonna be May 2nd, section 4, we are asking students to register if they anticipate, coming, so feel free also to fill out that Google form. Yeah, that's pretty much it, thanks.
Thank you. And then next up is Tina.
Hey guys, happy Wednesday. So first up on transportation, I included a link to bike. It is Bike Week. And then I put on some events that are coming up, a lot of them are like ride-alongs and opportunities to learn more about the programs. Pretty great. Feel free to click that link and look a little deeper if you're interested in going. Some of them require registration. Some meetings ahead, I'm meeting with Docs tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be able to give them some preliminary answers on where we want some bus shelters put. And hopefully they can implement those in the coming year. And then I'm also meeting with the TPAC subcommittee to make some recommendations on Docs funding diversification. On the infrastructure side, the shift, which is the like online platform, the revamp of what a FM request looks like, dropped on Monday. So please go look at that if you have any requests for work to get done inside of buildings. Please go through that. You can even track how far your request has gone. Maryland Day mural unveiling at 11 a.m. down near Huntley if you're going to be on campus for Maryland Day. I really encourage you to come out. There's going to be some free food and it should be a good time. I've been working on the audit report. Hopefully we'll get that out after Cap next week. Meetings ahead, I'm meeting with ADA Emily Lucio to finalize the audit findings before we send out the report. And then I'm also going to go to a Purple Line Community Advisory Team. I was invited to kind of go and talk about the implications of Purple Line on College Park and kind of give them some feedback on how the community feels. And yeah, on the general side, we will have committee tomorrow. And just an FYI for Cab, I'm going to be presenting on 4 topics. They include the CPAC subcommittee and our work and our recommendations to improve DOTS funding, the micromobility working group, and those are the recommendations I shared with you in committee a few weeks ago. The mural project, which is reading on Maryland Day, and the accessibility audit. So if you have any questions or concerns, or you have some testimony you want to include it on my slides, please come talk to me. And yeah, have a good night.
Thank you. Should you give us the mic? Perfect. Hi, Jay. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Okay, just give us 1 second. We're trying to turn on the camera really quick for on our end.
Sure.
Council and also the Student Legal Aid Office here to speak with us. So just want to make sure you're all giving Jay your attention. Oh my goodness, that's the owl. That is this is the first time that we've used this device, Jay. So I hope that this is working out on your end of things.
Yes, I'm seeing a lot of windows with different people, but yeah, it seems to be working.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Whenever you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and get started. Do you need us to
Yes.
do you need to screen share anything today?
I do not know.
Okay, awesome.
So Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Um, I thought I'd just give some general background as to what's happening at the federal level, and then certainly and more importantly, address any questions that you may have, as that may prove to be, what's most significant to you. So let me just start off by saying that, there's certainly a lot that's been going on at the federal level over the past couple of months, and a lot of uncertainty resulting as a result of that. I think one thing to keep in mind is that executive orders, and by last account, there have been around 100 at this time, issued by the Trump administration, are not laws or regulations themselves. They do give sort of an indication as to how the executive branch views certain areas of the law, but by no means can they override existing law regulations. And so what they intend to do is have agencies respond to those executive orders and sort of flesh out in more concrete rules what the administration wants to see happen from a policy perspective. But in large measure, we're not there yet. But it is certainly important to keep in mind these executive orders and other actions, because first of all, they obviously generate a lot of publicity, but also they may be harbingers of things to come. So, in that respect, there have been, I would say, three main areas where these executive orders have either started to impact our community as well as higher education in general, or caused, anxiety as to what these may mean going forward. Certainly, the first one is diversity, equity, inclusion. There were, right at the first day of the Trump administration, a couple of executive orders that were issued that essentially required agencies to dismantle what they view as illegal DEI programs. And it's uncertain what they mean by that term. We certainly at the university feel that none of our diversity, equity, inclusion programs violate existing civil rights and anti-discrimination laws. But again, we don't know if the administration shares that view. So that's been part of the concern, is not knowing what it is that we're required to do. As a result of that, there were several lawsuits that were filed to essentially pause those executive orders. One of those lawsuits was successful in obtaining that pause right here in the District Court of Maryland. Unfortunately, the administration appealed that to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeal, and just within the past 2 weeks, the Court of Appeals lifted that pause, which means that those executive orders are once again effective. And it also means that agencies can try to have institutions do things like certifying that they don't have illegal DI programs as a condition of receiving, for example, federal grants for research. And so we've started to see some of those certifications and requests come in. We're working with our Attorney General's office to either challenge those actions or, amend them or change them such that it's clear that our certification, our representations are limited to the existing state of law. But nonetheless, it's an area that's still evolving and much to be determined going forward. The next area that is also top of mind these days is certainly immigration. So, you may have heard that a few of our graduate students had their visas revoked and their student status in what's known as CVIS terminated. Unfortunately, the administration, in what's really unprecedented action, is taking these steps without providing much guidance as to why it is that it's doing so. And so as a result, it's very hard for us to challenge those when we don't really know the reason or the rationale for it. But it's something that's affecting not just us, but certainly many institutions in the Big Ten and elsewhere in higher education. As a result of that, there have been several movements afoot to, through membership organizations like ACE, AAU, APLU, to try to get some more guidance from the State Department and Department of Homeland Security, as well as, to essentially challenge these in courts as well. So that's another evolving area that's going to, I'm sure, garner a lot of attention going forward. We similarly have changes in status that the administration has made, particularly with Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. Their parole status that was supposed to extend far into the future has now been cut back to April 25th of this year, and that certainly impacts a lot of our staff who are within those communities. We're also concerned that immigration officials may now come onto campus to engage in activities. Before the Trump administration, there was general guidance within the Department of Homeland Security that basically instructed ICE agents to stay away from sensitive places, which were traditionally considered like things like, churches, hospitals, and schools and colleges as well. That guidance was eliminated by the Trump administration, and as a result, it gives more free rein for ICE officials to come into campus. And so as a result, we put in place certain protocols for our front-facing staff to use in the event that they come in contact with ICE officials. ICE needs to have certain legal documents, some warrants, if they want to access, non-public spaces or receive non-public information. So we are trying to ensure that to the extent they ever come on campus, that they have the right authority to engage in the activities that they wish to conduct. And then lastly, the area of research is one that has been affected a lot by the actions of the administration. We've had a number of grants terminated or put in stop work order status. We're seeking to appeal those, but again, and I've said this before, this is unprecedented action, so there's not a lot of infrastructure as to how one would appeal terminations of grants within the agency. So that we're trying to navigate that process as well as participating in litigation through our Office of Attorney General to challenge some of these terminations, as well as other actions taken by federal agencies. So for example, the National Institutes of Health, the NIH, has done a couple of things that are quite harmful to our research enterprise. So they've indicated that they would cut back on what's known as the indirect cost for research. So this is funds that federal agencies give to research institutions like ours to cover sort of the infrastructure that allows for the research to go forward. So things like, building and maintaining labs and putting in place infrastructures to assure the security of the research, and even, having funds to keep the lights on. So all of that overhead, if you will, is covered by this indirect cost figure. And the administration has indicated that they want to reduce that significantly, which would have drastic effects on our research enterprise. And also the administration has really brought to a halt the flow of grant approval and funding processes. So there's a whole process that grant proposals have to go through before they're approved and funded. And one of those steps involves what's known as study sections or advisory councils. These are the bodies that review and vet all proposals, and they either give the green light or not for funding. That process has been stalled since the administration took office, which means that none of the grants since then have been able to progress. And that obviously has implications not just for us as an institution, but for our PIs and other faculty who's really career and research efforts depend on these grants coming through. So again, that's the third area that's been of concern for us. The other areas to note is certainly Title VI and issues of anti-Semitism, which the administration has placed great emphasis on. The administration has paused hundreds of millions of dollars for certain institutions at this point, mostly Ivy League schools, because in the administration's views, they're not doing enough for the Jewish community. And as a result, in their view, they're violating Title VI anti-discrimination laws. So that's sort of a broad overview of what's going on and sort of the main areas that we're keeping track of. Again, I know that people are anxious about what's going on across the board, and we try to reassure them that we're on top of this and that we're taking all that's at our disposal to challenge these sorts of actions that are detrimental to our community. But as I said before, and I sound like a broken record at this point, a lot of this is unprecedented, and so we're trying to figure out as we go the best that we can. So hopefully that was helpful by way of overview, and I'm certainly happy to address any questions any of you may have.
Did anyone have any questions for Jay specific? Oh, go ahead. Leonard has one.
We'll give everyone. Can you hear us or no?
I can, yes.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate your presentation. I'm Leonard. I'm one of the BSOS representatives. I have a question. Actually, this came from one of my constituents in the BSOS college. From the student's perspective, there's kind of this perception of like a lack of information about what the university is doing. Like we do understand and obviously believe that you guys have a lot that you guys are dealing with. You're meeting with the administration, you're meeting with the deans of colleges all the time. But from the student's perspective, there's kind of this like lack of communication of what's actually going on and what students can do to protect themselves. So I was just wondering if you could respond to that about like some of the things maybe that are planned on being being released, or some things that maybe have already been released that students should look at for guidance.
Yeah, I think, what I'll say at the outset is that sometimes we can't give the answers that people, including students, may want to hear because as I said, we're still trying to figure it out. What I can say is we're on top of this. These things are changing not just on a daily, but sometimes an hourly basis. So it's very hard to provide that real-time communication. We have within our website put together a web page under the government relations webpage that tries to update what's going on at the federal level, as quickly as possible. So that is a reference that we would point students as well as any member of the community to know what's happening at the federal level and how that's affecting us. I know our president and our provost are very concerned about what's going on, as well as sensitive to the anxiety and, frankly, fear that some students, as well as other community members, may be feeling about some of these items. And they're trying to communicate as best as possible. But as I said, these things change quite frequently, and there are still a lot of answers that we're trying to figure out in light of these sort of unprecedented and fairly ill-defined actions that the federal government is taking at this point.
Use your mic. I think you'll be, can you just like use your mic and search?
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Ben, and I teach with Website. I was just wondering, has your office assessed the legality of ICE agents coming to residence halls? And if this were the case, are RAs or community assistants being trained on how exactly to handle this situation?
Yes. So ICE cannot go into residence halls, which are non-public spaces, without a court-ordered subpoena or warrant. And so that's why it's very important for us, to the extent any ICE officers come to campus, that we fully vet the documentation that they have to engage in the activities that they wish to undertake. And as a result, as I mentioned, we've put together these protocols that are supposed to guide people who are likely to come into contact with immigration enforcement agencies so that they can respond appropriately. One of the main steps in that protocol calls for these people who come into contact with ICE to reach out to both my office, the Office of General Counsel, as well as to our police department. And between those two offices, we would assess what it is that they intend to do and whether they have the authority to do it. So I think we're very prepared in the event that that happens. Hopefully it will never come to pass, but if in fact they are issued that sort of court-ordered subpoena, we unfortunately would have to give them access and otherwise comply with it. But as I said, we're hopeful that it never comes to pass to that. And what we can do as best as we can is assure that they have the legal and judicial authority to do what they intend to do.
Awesome.
Oh, wait, sorry, you were muted. Start again.
Oh, okay. Sorry, just to follow up, when you're having your meetings, how often, first off, how often do you guys meet with OAG?
So my office is the Office of General Counsel. To the extent that we want to engage in any litigation, we have to go through our state Office of Attorney General. They are the ones who actually bring the litigation. We are in constant contact with them. I would say, if not daily, at least several times a week, particularly since the Trump administration came to office. We have also participated in several lawsuits that are designed to challenge some of the actions of the administration, primarily in the research field at this point, but presumably broader than that as well, if it's something that truly impacts the university. And we've done that by providing declarations and other evidence that shows the impact of this and how we feel it's contrary to constitutional and statutory law. So we are in very close partnership with our Attorney General's office, and they in fact have, since the Trump administration come to office, put together what they are calling a federal accountability unit, which is exclusively designed to look into and challenge some of these actions. So they're very well equipped to, engage in some of these battles, and we're partnering with them closely in some of those as well.
And sorry, this is my last question, because I know that other states also have their own versions of this federal accountability unit. Is your office in connection with looking into how the administration is treating other universities, or are you guys connecting with other universities? And because we're not the only university that is having issues with research grants. We're not the only university that has DEI. I know at the University of Michigan specifically, they just recently are having issues. So are you guys working with other universities when you're making decisions?
We are. The Attorney General is partnering with other state attorney generals, primarily Democratic ones, which are the ones that seem more inclined to challenge the Trump administration. We as an institution, informally engage with, for example, our peers in the Big Ten Conference. We are also members of national higher education associations, such as the American Council of Education, the American Association of Universities, the Association of Public and Land Grant Universities. All those are national higher education institutions that have interests very much aligned with our own, and they themselves have pursued litigation to fight some of these as well. So we're in constant contact with others in the higher education sphere, and expect to continue to do so going forward.
Microphone. We have another question.
Hi, my name is Rishi. I'm one of the CMNS reps here. So following up on one of Ben's questions, have you come up with any protocols to especially in many research grants are being flagged for, or false flagged for some frivolous complaint about DEI or something related to just the name of an author being suspicious, as in many Latino researchers are being affected by this. So do you have any protocols for frivolous DEI complaints by the administration?
Yes, so I mean, I think two main things we're doing is whenever a grant is terminated on these, as you said, frivolous basis, we try to appeal it within the agency itself. As I said, this is unprecedented. There's never been a movement to terminate grants in this fashion. So agencies really haven't, even equipped themselves with the infrastructure to, consider some of these appeals. So we're essentially building the plane as we're flying it, and that's part of the challenge. As I said, we're also engaging in litigation that has challenged many of the terminations of grants. So, for example, we have a Department of Education grant that seeks to further training of educators in underrepresented communities. That grant was terminated, and we were successful in obtaining a court order that allowed that forced the funding to continue. And like that litigation, we've had others as well, challenging other agencies who have sought to terminate grants on those bases. So, so we're taking, as I said, the actions that are available to us. A lot of this is unprecedented, so we're trying to navigate the best we can. And but I've been, heartened by the fact that, while Congress hasn't really put much of a pushback to the Trump administration actions, the courts have, by and large, at least initially, put a pause to some of these actions while the merits of that can be fully litigated. So so as a result, many of the actions that the Trump administration wanted to accomplish have been temporarily paused, and we're hopeful that that will continue and eventually that some of these will be rejected outright.
We have another question. Yeah.
Hi there, campus leader representative. I'd like to ask you a question about disclosures by the university. I believe a few weeks ago, congressional committee asked the university for some information about Chinese nationals at this university. We have not really gotten it on. Well, the deadline is passed now. Has the university replied on that? Has the university disclosed that information as was requested in that particular letter to the university?
So, so you cut out a little bit there, but I think you were asking about the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party letter that we received that requested certain information from Chinese national students as to their, enrollment, tuition sources, research affiliations, and so forth. And so, in answer to your question, yes, we did receive that letter last month. We were one of 6 schools that received the same letter, so it wasn't sent solely to us. You are correct that the original deadline to respond was April 1st, but we were able to obtain an extension until April 25th. So we're actually still in the process of collecting information and crafting responses to around 20 questions and requests for information. It's our understanding that these requests are not seeking personally identifiable information. And so as a result, we intend to respond accordingly and in an aggregate basis and otherwise consistent with federal and privacy laws. And again, by the deadline of April 25th.
Also, really quick, I just want to give the floor to Cindy, just because she can't stay much longer. So Cindy, if you wanted to have a chance to speak really quick before you have to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. My name is Cindy. I'm the attorney in the undergraduate student legal aid office. So we actually offer free legal advice directly to undergrad students. And I wanted to just let you guys know, particularly in the area of immigration consultations, we have always, ever since I've been here, which is since 2013, have offered free monthly immigration consultations to undergrad students as part of our budget that you guys fund. As a result of all of the changes and sort of upheaval that is happening right now, we've doubled those consultations. So in addition to the 10 monthly consultations that we were usually doing on the second Wednesday of every month, we've added the fourth Wednesday of every month. So we've doubled that. I am not an immigration attorney myself, and it's a very specialized area of practice. So we contract out with an immigration attorney. Her name is Patricia Minikin, and she's located in Greenbelt. We've been working with her on a contract for a number of years, and she was willing and able to double those number of consultations. So I would just encourage everyone who knows your peers that have an immigration related matter, please direct them to us, legalaid.umd.edu. We can help them. So far, we've been able to accommodate everyone who's requested those consultations since we doubled them, and we typically fill up. Today was our second day or our first day for April, and we had one cancellation, but every other appointment was filled. So we are here for students experiencing those issues. In addition to immigration related matters, we can help with just general legal issues. We also help students that are going through code of conduct, code of academic integrity, and OCRSM claims. So we can help in all those ways. So please just spread the word. And I'm here for a couple of minutes if you have any questions, but here in general for direct aid to undergraduate students. Jay's office counsels the university. We're the office that can offer counsel to individual students. We cannot, however, and I want to stress this because we've gotten a lot of requests for this kind of help, we can't help family members unless an undergraduate student is directly involved as a sponsor or some other direct role, because we are funded by the student activity fee, and obviously those are paid by undergraduate students, and so those are our clientele. But I'm happy to answer a couple of quick questions before I have to sign out.
Did Joe have a question?
No.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Make sure okay. We have a question over here.
Hi, thank you for joining. My name is Alvaro, the Heritage Community Rep. And my question was, beyond kind of like the federal issues that we've been already talking about, what are some of the other issues that you see most prevalent raised by students raised to your office?
I mean, obviously the revocation of student visas. So students with student visas are normally served by ISSS, but if that status is revoked, then they're going to need to come to us and consult with our immigration attorney or go to a private immigration attorney. We do have a lot of students with family related issues that they are a part of, right? So the student may be a US citizen, but now they're looking to sponsor a parent or other relative or through marriage. So there are family related issues that we can help with if the student is directly involved. We've had a lot of passport related issues in terms of gender markers and name changes and that sort of thing. We can help with that. So I think those sort of stand out as the top three as I think of it right now. So for example, for passport and gender markers, I can help with that. They don't need to wait for an appointment with the immigration attorney, but anything that's related directly to their immigration status, then I need to send them to the immigration attorney, and we can usually get them in, now that we've doubled appointments, within a month. If they have an emergency issue, like I'm facing deportation or I have an issue that's gonna go down this week, we can get them in sooner. We have contracted for a number of emergency consultations where that's needed.
Several times I've heard you say the word consultation. I wanted to specifically ask, do you actually offer any representation in court at all?
No. No, both my office is advice only and Patricia Minikin does consultations and can help students through the process and understand what their next steps are, what the paperwork is, what they need to file, what the filing deadlines are. But she is not representing them in front of agencies.
But neither your office nor the general counsel's office ever represents students in any proceedings.
Not in front of adjudication agencies or courts. So I'll give you just a simple example, and this is not even immigration related, but a student was charged with a citation in the county. They come to us for help with how to go through representing themselves in court in front of a judge to get that adjudicated. And then that student comes back to us after adjudication and we can help them get that expunged. We can help them fill out that paperwork, know where they need to file that paperwork, know the steps that they need to go through for that process. But I am not going to court in front of a judge to adjudicate that. That would take a lot more resources. I'm the only attorney in the office. There are some other models in the Big Ten and elsewhere in universities where there is a representation model. But I can tell you there are multiple attorneys in that office because that is a workload that one attorney cannot take on. And it's expensive.
Do you have any more questions? We don't have any more. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But I have a question.
Oh, okay. We have a question for Jay, Cindy. So if you do need to get going, no worries. Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. I'll stay on as long as I can.
Awesome. Thank you. Go ahead, Abel.
Is about FERPA, privacy for students. I have personally experienced where there's been disclosures in the Office of Financial Aid Office and the Office of the Registrar, where, there was no consent by the student. So I just wanted to ask more about how you are, if at all, retraining around FERPA protections, specifically to the offices that control the most amount of information about students.
Yeah, so obviously I don't know the specific instances that you're referring to, but what I can say is FERPA does prevent institutions of higher education from sharing personally identifiable information and other information related to student educational records to third parties without the student's consent. I will say that there are certain exceptions in the law that allow for that disclosure without consent. But within the university itself, representatives of the university are allowed to share that internally to the extent that there's a need to know and to the extent that it's necessary to conduct operations. So I'm not sure if your example was referring to sharing between offices within the university or sharing information with entities, third-party entities outside the university. But in the former category, we as an institution can share internally to the extent it's necessary for us to conduct operations. And then, as I said, externally, while there are certain exceptions, we would ordinarily need to obtain student consent to divulge that information.
Sorry. My question was specifically about an external entity, sending an email to late office and the magic office, since they applying. That's what happened. I just want to ask more about them. Yeah, or encourage more retraining in those particular offices.
Yeah, thank you for that, and we'll take it into account. I will say that my office, I have one attorney in particular who's who's an expert in FERPA and the Public Information Act and other privacy issues, and she is constantly in contact with different units on campus and engages in presentations on that topic. But I will raise that point again and make sure that we, to the extent that we're not already doing so, that we put in place the necessary training and guidance.
Do we have any other questions? I don't think we have any more questions here. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add on or ask us anything?
No, not from my end. As I said, I appreciate the opportunity to share my thoughts with you. And certainly, as Cindy mentioned, while my office represents the university and cannot give legal advice to students, I'm always happy to share informational items like I've done here tonight.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for coming tonight. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
Not too bad.
Oh, okay. Phew.
So we actually partially fund them. And then they also receive external, I believe they receive external donations and they also have. So just for those of you who were not aware, so this counts as their annual report to us. But historically SLAB is supposed to be reporting every year to us as a grant.
Okay. So we're actually, this is not recess, but. Synchronization. Okay, well, thank you everybody for being engaged and asking questions. Let's move on to our first meeting calendar. With S 25-0409, and Act amending the Student Government Association's Constitution, Violence, and Standing of Order. Did you want to introduce or do you just want to? Okay. Well, this is the omnibus bill that we've been talking about. Please go to CBL next Tuesday. Makes lives here so much easier. That's all I gotta say. Obviously, please review the amendments. We can also talk more about this at the end of GM. Moving on to S 2409C. If you're wondering why letters are skipping around, they were just some bills that were withdrawn. And I didn't have time to go back and change them. So this is what we're rolling. S 25-0409C, an act of administration on tabling event outside campus dining halls. With the bill spot. Oh, wait, she's not here.
Yeah, the other way.
Oh, okay. Would a co-sponsor like to introduce this bill?
Trying to get information from students about their view of the dining hall. Where we hope to understand that and see the so if find or but it's the people that I took it to one South Campus dining and
Say it again. Oh, that's a Leonard question, but we can talk more. Oh, hey.
I'm just kidding. But I would.
yeah, and that's been it is for the people that get did yeah, we're something outside the dining hall and we think for good times there, but
Amazing. This will be going to health and wellness. Moving on to S 250409 Teen Active Fund Directory Soft Pilot Program. I don't think, oh, do you want to introduce it? Yeah, awesome.
Hi guys, I've been talking about this project for like so long now. But basically Recre is a box that you have indoor outdoor to kind of facilitate South Campus to have more outdoor recreation. It's free for students. You kind of just like rent it for some period of time. I have an entire document that consolidates everything that you ever could possibly need to know. It's in my updates. Yeah, please look at that if you have any questions. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks, Kylie. Moving on to S 250409 G and Active Publishing and Document Students Support Knowing Nebraska and SGA. Would the sponsor like to give an introduction?
Yes, so this essentially would publicize a website that the Department of History for UMD compiled with different resources, legal resources, facts, myths, all of that based on immigration and undocumented status. And so this would just allow us the opportunity to advertise that to students because it's a really good resource for them to find everything in one place.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Going communications. Moving on.
Yeah, there's a please.
Oh my goodness, no, the video. Let's run back. Alex, we will know the software.
Hi, so this is kind of just talking about kind of advocating, to expand the cell size of your video from currently 2 once per semester per course to 2 times.
Alrighty, thank you. This will be going primary health and wellness. Moving on to S 25. Oh, why did I say it? There you go. S 250409, how resolution support the implementation of such online platform for students. For those also like to give an introduction to this bill.
Sure, so the concept behind this bill is kind of launching like the website version of the UMD app for like a central place for students to find everything that they would need like on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you. That will be going primary TNI. Moving on to S 250409J, resolution to advocate for improvement in transit access with responsibility to introduction.
So this bill is kind of about advocating for like in the future for like departments and things of that nature to like set aside funds for people who are doing internships or things of that nature for like transit access and things like that.
Awesome. We'll also be going to TNI, S 25.
Can I put in information
Yeah.
for a point of clarification?
Yeah.
To the Zonal representative, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the upcoming Tammy representative.
Do you want to talk in the mic?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Just for the past 3 or 4 bills, I was just curious which directors you spoke to before you submitted the bills.
So for the so for which one? Wait, hold on, I'm trying to see.
If you want, you can go up.
Oh, okay. How find excuse or no, hello. So for the online platform thing, I talked to student affairs. For the transit access thing, I briefly talked to Kingsley about that. And then for the self-signed excuse note, that one I talked to Elisa.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
Okay, where are we? Moving on to S 250409L, and that's hosting the Student Government Association cost room availability audit. With the Would the co-sponsor like to give an introduction to this bill?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of movement in the past few days, so there's some edits to the like action plan and final clauses. But basically, it's to counter the problem of we have 4 buildings on campus where there are hundreds of student groups can reserve rooms. And so Student Affairs has been working with the Division of Student Affairs to conduct where now the Division of Student Affairs will conduct a classroom availability audit to determine what spaces are available when, so we can potentially expand its access. So this would be supporting them as they're nothing else.
Thank you. As we go into student affairs, moving on to S 250409M, an active fund materials for SGA.
Hi everyone, this is my Noah. So I think it's super important that we have all the materials we need to, first of all, have successful tabling and outreach events. At the moment, we don't even have a table. We don't have basic necessities, table, we can kind of move things around, get things from Hillel, get things from Stamp, pay a lot of money. So this bill runs a lot more than just a table. You can take a look at addendum B that has the purchase request for all the different things. That includes everything from 2 tables to having extension cords that we can use in the office and we can use at GBM. Has a lot of stuff. It actually amounts to about $1,000 at the moment, because one of the items is actually to get the little magnetic name tags for every single constituency, so that when you're tabling, people kind of know who you are, what you represent. They won't have your name, because actually does not have the budget to create like a special one with your name on it, but it will have the constituency. So all that will be figured out. Unfortunately, the timing's not great. This year's wrapping up, but we'll definitely be there for next year. So yeah.
Thank you. This would be going primary to financial affairs. Moving on over to our second reading calendar, we have S 250402A, an act funding a 2-year contract Turbo. Is anyone here from the primary community financial affairs that can give the committee report? Okay.
Do you want to mic?
Chris.
I'll just read it.
Okay.
11-0-1.
Okay, thank you. I would favor.
Motion to approve the committee report.
Motion to approve the committee report. All those in favor? All of those opposed? Through, since the Civ Gov amendments and secondary committee, actually, these are all non-substantive.
Yeah, they're all grammatical.
Awesome. Okay, awesome. Okay, amazing. Is the body ready for the main question? Oh, do you have a? Yes.
Did we get reimbursed for the
That's in my update, so if you want, we can wait or I can answer it right now.
Oh, you can answer now if you want.
The maintenance test is next week, so after the maintenance test, once they test that the materials actually work, they don't have to send it back, then yes. So we can still allocate, from what I understand, I know from the plan. From what I understand, we can allocate under the assumption that we will receive the reimbursement, so once we receive those funds, that they will be immediately dispersed, not immediately, obviously, depending on what the timelines are for each of the finance requests are submitted, but that we can disperse funds once we receive them. So for example, if Leonard's is 1,000 and we only have 500 in the account right now, once we get reimbursed, then that full 1,000 will be given to that, if that makes sense.
Awesome. Is everybody ready for the main question? Okay, seeing all from now, I'm to period. Can I see all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All opposed? All abstaining? Awesome. The vote of 23-0-1, this bill passes. Congratulations to the bill sponsor. Okay. Wonderful. Moving on to S 2404 OS 250402B, an act to support students' research endeavors in this federal funding cut. Is the primary committee, not here. Is anyone here from comms that to give the committee report? Yeah,
3-0 to 1.
okay, awesome. I don't think there's any amendments already to committee, correct? Okay. Now in favor of the on motion regarding the committee report. There's been a motion to approve the committee report. There are no objections. Can I just see all those in favor? All those opposed? Awesome. Committee report has been approved. Do you find Leonard's amendment friendly, Priya? Yes. Okay. Is the body ready for the main question? Okay, seeing multiple nods, now we'll do voting. Can I see all those in favor? All of those opposed? All those abstaining? Wonderful, the vote of 23-0 to 1 still passes. Congratulations to the video sponsor. And then moving on to S 250409F, an act to host and fund the 2025 year banquet inauguration. This is emergency, which has been approved by finance. Will sponsor your instruction.
Absolutely. Let me start by saying that everyone in this room is invited to the 2025 inauguration. This is the best time of the year. Okay. Like, we all dress up, we dress out, okay, formal, business formal. Do not be showing up with a sweatshirt on. Please make sure you wear dressed appropriately. This is an act hosting and fund the inauguration. At the inauguration, as per custom, we will have a banquet with food, a buffet side, spread from Good Tidings. There will be a program. It will be about 2 hours long, so please try to come on time. It'll start at 6 p.m. We'll end at 8 p.m. Basically, the purpose of this event is to celebrate all of our accomplishments from the start of the school year, and to really welcome our new class of legislators and executives that come around, and also just have the members of the public there as well, members of the UMA public as well. I will note that our capacity for the room is 78 people, and the catering is for 60. So don't go too crazy with like bringing all your friends. We do have an RSVP form. I know Sally will talk about that in her updates and make all of you sign up if you haven't already. But yeah, that's basically the reason why it's emergency. We're not trying to sneak anything past SGA. The reason why it's emergency is because of finance. Finance needs 2 weeks to kind of figure all their funny stuff out. This event is on the 24th, so that's why it's emergency. So yeah, that's it.
Does anyone have any questions? Because it's emergency. I'll give you guys a second to read over the bill.
Just a small point of clarification. The reason why, first of all, this will be taking place in ESJ. Normally we have it in SAM, but because of like booking constraints, it will be taking place in one of like kind of the lecture rooms on the first floor of ESJ. The reason why it's $103, normally ESJ is free. But the reason why it's $103 is because we're paying $55 per table. Sorry, we're paying $48 for 4 tables because like the buffet, like they need to set up the buffet in the hallway in the corridor, and then we need $55 to book the corridor. So the room's free, but the corridor and the tables aren't free.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Does anyone have any questions? Is the body ready for the main question? Awesome. Now, if you're voting, can I see all of those in favor? If anyone leaves the board. Oh, I kind of transfer some. Okay. All of those. All of those abstaining. Awesome. The vote of 22-0 to 1, this bill passes. Congratulations to the bill sponsor. 23. All right. Okay, there's no table bills. Are there any follow-ups to any sort of initiatives? Okay,
Point of personal privilege.
yeah.
Good thing. If you guys want to follow up, even if your goal is not on first or second reading calendar, if you want to follow up about like your work towards drafting the bill or talking about the bill, even if it wasn't on the agenda, now is the time to do that.
Diego?
Well, it's not an actual bill, but I did get to speak with the assistant dean, College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. I think it was 2 days ago. And kind of during that, not brief, it was almost an hour, but during that meeting I had with her, we kind of spoke a lot about how I feel between the leadership of the College of Ag and SGA, how we could further tighten those relationships and how we could get started with a regular channel of communication between us and them. Since there were issues in contacting the SAC of Agriculture and Natural Resources, respond to my emails, but hopefully through through the assistant dean, we can get started with a channel of communication between the governing organizations of AJR and between SGA. That's my goal.
Thank you for that. I know Leonard really wants that. Go ahead. Oh. Did someone ask that?
Yeah, she.
Go for it, Julia.
But I wasn't able to follow through with it because we had coordination issues, but I was in contact with Fighters for Freedom and they wanted to do an event with me for like mental health and pass out mental health resources. It's just a really great opportunity to bring puppies to your constituents. And they seem to be really, really excited to partner with SGA. So like I will be here next year, but for anybody that is continuing, please keep that in mind. They really would like to work with people in the SGA and they would like to bring awareness both to their club and everything. So I just think it's a great opportunity.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ian.
I was also working on something, but the timeline just, I guess, wasn't aligned, but I was working with someone else on developing a survey about assessing the impact of menstrual health on student life and just seeing how that impacts people physically and emotionally and seeing if there would be any benefit of working towards maybe even getting excused absence or something like that. So, but I hope to continue it soon.
Thank you. Heard. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I had plans initially to pass a resolution to recognize Invisible Disabilities Week. However, since it falls in October and our bills in this legislative discussion don't necessarily carry over, they're not binding. Anyone who's planning to do SGA next year, please keep that in mind. It's this recognized week. I feel like it's a great way to recognize students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. That was great.
Did I miss anyone? Did anyone else have anything they wanted to add on? Okay, awesome. We can move on to executive update, starting with student body president.
Hi, folks. As I was mentioning earlier, the headshot has been delivered. They've assembled it, and it's really just about going through scheduling and training with Iris Air. They're the vendors for it. So once they go through the training, test out, they actually want to invite all of you and any SGA officers to be the first ones to come test it out. So we're gonna try to send out a poll to see what days most of you can come to do a ribbon cutting event, and hopefully that will be a nice little send off for you guys. You guys get a free headshot. Also is a great opportunity for you guys to promote it to your constituencies as well if you run your own Instagram accounts or things like that. So I will post something soon in the officers channel. So please respond to that if you do want that. They're great for your LinkedIn, or if you are into acting or theater and things like that, and need a professional headshot there. Highly recommend that. With the stamp mural, we're going through the process of putting in the financial request right now. And again, the reveal is on Maryland Day, April 26th, at 11 a.m. in the North East Room of Stamp. You'll get to hear from the artists themselves on their art, get to see unveiling, get free food. So I highly encourage you to come out to that as well. One of the things that we did in CAB this past weekend was use practically the remainder of the cabinet reserves on this HPWS harm reduction incentive. HPWS stands for Health and Promotional Wellness Services, and they're a faction in the University Health Center, or the UHC, that operates to do a lot of programming around stuff. So if you've ever seen those free STI testing events, or you've ever seen those free just like pregnancy tests or like emergency contraceptive handouts, like that's HPWS. They actually retracted wanting these barrier carriers. So I will be removing that from the budget. But the other things that they asked for was reusable packs for their own harm reduction kits. They have test strip packs, which have xylazine and fentanyl test strips in them. And they've just put them out in like sandwich bags, and that might not be the most durable thing for tests that need to be accurate. So they asked for some packs or kits to keep them in so that they might be better kept. They also asked for CPR face shields in the event. So if somebody is overdosing, need to end up giving them CPR if they have any airborne or even potentially like blood related diseases, if something is happening. The face shields help to keep the airflow going one way so that you're not also taking stuff in depending on what you're doing, so it doesn't prevent you from doing CPR. Other things, so last year, one of my big projects was getting free pregnancy tests at the University Health Center. We allocated to them 2,000 initially, was the like price point that we were given for them. They initially were only soft launching with University Health Center's pharmacy, meaning you have to go up, very similar to the emergency contraceptives of like going up in your UID and getting one. This year they wanted to change it, or like this semester they wanted to change it into being an open thing and including it in their programming efforts. So when they hand out free PC, also handing out a free pregnancy test, which makes sense, right? So with that in mind, they have had an increased demand for them, which is fantastic. I'm excited to see that there's been an increase in our students on that. But with that in mind, they won't reach their quota of having enough pregnancy tests for the 2-year pilot that we agreed to do with them. So with that in mind, some of the funds also go to additional pregnancy tests to kind of cover that gap between what it was when we were kind of still keeping it conservative with the estimates and then what we would do when we were being a little bit more generous about them. So just really quickly, does anyone have any questions or concerns about that budget? I just wanted to make you all aware that that was something that we voted on in CAP. Cool. Other things, looking into additional fund dispersal. So y'all are cutting it close with ledger reserves. So the only thing left is exec reserves. And I really do want to try to get rid of as much money as possible by the end of the year. I think it's a waste when we just leave stuff in our account. So whatever is remaining for the executive reserves will end up going, as of right now, just to the LGBTQ Equity Center for Gender Affirming Care. They purchased tucking tape, tucking underwear, and chest binders that have been vetted to transgender students for free. And especially against a lot of federal stuff going on right now, I think it's important to also make sure that they have what they need to continue doing that program. If you have other things in mind for things that we could be giving additional funds to from executive reserves that can help the grander student population, that would be greatly appreciated. But with that in mind, that would probably be the last budget that I'll submit ever in SGA, thank God. Meetings, I've had a meeting with HPWS to talk a little bit about this budget, met with Patty, met with Stan to talk about, and also this morning with APS to kind of talk about what we're going to do between now and the end of the year. Really audit and accessibility related projects. And this year they didn't have the opportunity to do an ADS student advisory board due to everyone's schedules. Like you couldn't get more than like 2 people in a room at a time. So working with them to also figure out a strategy for outreach with that next year. Other upcoming meetings that I have with the UHC to go over SHIP. So because the health center fee failed at the CRSF level, we now are in negotiations with the vendor for the student health insurance plans. What that means is that they know that we're in kind of a tough spot financially with not being able to provide as much. So I don't know what those numbers are exactly right now, but I've heard some pretty high numbers in terms of what they are supposed to go up to that they have been negotiating down. So I don't have specifics for you yet, but I'll keep you all updated on what the SHIP kind of process has been. Spec, we've been talking in the strategic planning and student organization committee about what different discretionary guidelines or even like SGA governing docs we kind of want to shift to make it a little bit more equitable for students or easier for them to understand the student groups process. So that's another thing that we're waiting on in terms of like the presidential package that I was going to put up. ADA, we have a meeting with them next week to talk a little bit about the accessibility audit and again some of those final things from the year. Got4 with RHA, SG, and GSG. Kind of just talk about the state of affairs in each of our stuff. And then again, we're doing cabinet to cabinet. I think some of you weren't here last week, so I'll just really quickly iterate one more time. Cabinet to cabinet is the university cabinet, so like Heinz's cabinet to our cabinet, and it's when we talk about some of the major things that we've done for the year or projects and their status essentially. So these are the presentations that we'll be having this year. I will be giving an overview of like what we've done this year, talking to them about student fees in particular and election results. Hopefully, whoever the incoming exec is going to be, the president, vice president, and VPFA, will be invited to the event. But seeing as we don't have those right now, just wanted to put that out there. And then the campus infrastructure and transportation, talking about the mural project, the accessibility audit, micromobility, job service solution funding, recre updates of what Siley was talking about, open educational resources with Lindsay and Rebecca have been working on, student groups funding and strategic planning. We're talking a lot about the road booking stuff there, turf length, and every other problem that student groups have ever. So that will be on one presentation venue. Student well-being and health, we'll talk about nutrition, mental health, and suicide tracking. Those are the main projects that we have right now. And then there'll also be time at the end for us to have like a discussion with the cabinet about their stuff, what they've been doing, all that good stuff. So thank you all.
Let me pose a question.
Just two questions. First question, how much money is being returned?
14,000.
14,000.
So as it stands right now, I think we have like 6,000, right? In love years. And
It's
then
5 go.
We spent about 5,000.
sorry, no.
I was doing mental math. Go ahead. Oh, did you have a second one?
I had one penny. So I know that the photo group will have a $1,000 annual maintenance fee that has to be purchased for it. Who's going to be responsible for that?
We already paid for it. So in the initial invoice, so since they didn't set it up until now, it will be next year's responsibility to set it up for them, pending the success of the hedgehog photo booth. So for those of you who don't know, we have an MOU, which is called a Memorandum of Understanding. And it's basically like an in-kind contract type of thing where like you agree and I agree. So like, let's just put it in writing to some extent. It's a little more complicated, but that's like it. It's like very much. Yeah. And essentially what we said with them is like, you do this, you show us some metrics that it's actually successful, you're actually using it, and it actually is making a meaningful impact, and we will agree to consider funding it again. So
is there any way that the counseling center or someone from like admin would be interested in paying that?
It's under the careers.
Yeah, the career center, because that puts us in like a binding contract forever, basically paying $1,000 every single year.
That's not abnormal at some of the other Big Ten schools who fund it, but in the sense of that, they have actually looked into getting it's called a TLTC grant. It's a teaching and learning, something center, transformation center. That's what it is. Teaching, learning, and transformation center. And essentially, they give grants to either different departments on campus or different teachers and stuff like that. They've applied for a grant previously, but they were denied because of how expensive the actual equipment was. So the intent is that they do it this for a year, and hopefully after that year, once they have that demonstrated impact, that actually they get the TLTC grant for it instead. So the folks there have that in the back of their mind already, and that's also it's not outlined in the MOU because I didn't want to make it contingent on them getting doing their education. But it was in the event that they needed, if they did not secure funding for it, that they would ask us and we could consider it on the basis of the metrics that were. Any other questions?
I think about it.
Yeah, question. I think it was ingenious that you're taking like exec reserves and using it for something. I wonder if we could, I guess,
No.
So I wonder, is there any way we could do the same with the legislators? Because it's the 15,000 backwards. So we're gonna end this budget with huge
You should, wait, sorry, you might wanna look at the bills on first reader, both, because we aren't gonna have, well, I like the idea, but we do have like an $11,000 bill next week and 1,000. So also keep that in mind as well.
We'll get very close to exhaustion.
Yeah.
Sure. Closer than we've ever gotten. in the
Yeah,
past.
which is impressive.
Good job. Just to keep that in mind. Yeah, so that was kind of what was to moving forward. And
Would it good take the remainder of the legislators part of the exec? Then you spend them or something?
that does happen. So actually at the conclusion of the year, so once the administration, like the legislative session is over, actually all of the funds that are in CAB and ledge get rolled into exec because the only people who are still able to like meet technically in their capacities would be exec. So they have
So the summer exec could spend that money.
correct. Yep.
Before it goes.
Yes, I've actually tried to have it be this year that we used it for the summer ABTS, the Association of 10 Students Conference, so that we could exhaust last year's. Unfortunately, we didn't get the details early enough in time for that, but I think they're shifting their election back this year, the earlier to allow for more time for the conference planning, so we might even be able to use the remaining funds if there are any to go to that, so that there is like hopefully a complete exhaustion of funds.
Over interested, we're listening one.
I'll also put really quickly that one of the things that we talked about in spec and that I've tried to look into is also getting a surplus of funds at the end of the year rolled back into student groups funding. That is just not possible with the way that our timelines are set up because there's a certain date in which all of the funds that are excess are rolled back into like a general pool to be reallocated next year based on different departments like that. So I did want to say that that was the first consideration for it to go to student groups and following the result that we couldn't do that it was then to go into other projects or to other things. Cool. Any other questions? Thanks for listening. Only half of you were asleep.
Is executive vice president.
Hi, guys. I have more forms for you to do. So when you open up my updates, which everyone should be doing, so my viewers should be like 27.
Absolutely. One of them is inauguration. Let's go.
The very first see the RSVP. I will hunt all of you down. I have time to do that now. I'm done with it. I will hunt every single one of you. You can say no. That's okay. Actually, no, that's not okay. Wait. Just kidding. You can't say no. But please RSVP even if you can't come. Even if it's like tentatively, even if it's like partial, we would love to have you there. Please do that now, actually. Oh wait, I'm gonna send it in the last chat. Just in case you don't open my update. Okay, perfect. I will give you like 2 seconds to do it. I think it's like 4 questions. Pretty straightforward. Oh, question? Question?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. So the deadline that's on your oh, sorry. No. Sorry. The deadline that's on the updates, is that deadline for us or for everyone as well? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can speak on that real fast. So technically we need to give good tidings, like our final head count by the 17th. That's why like the official RSVP deadline is the 16th, but we obviously want to make sure that everyone that's guaranteed to be there, like all outgoing officers and all officers elect, like that are like guaranteed that they have a guaranteed slot. So that's what we're asking for everyone that's outgoing and hopefully incoming to let us know by Friday. So that like we can leave room for the public, if there's room for the public type thing. So just do it now. Basically.
Okay. No, my question was mainly because, election results haven't been posted and it's, been said that it potentially won't come out till Friday. So my concern was just if this was, a strict deadline and then, we had the chance election results don't come out Friday. But
Another thing, we put in a comms request for it to be first to post in a story tomorrow. Now that the bill is passed, we just couldn't have really done that until the bill passed. So it will be posted on our Instagram Thursday, and then there'll be like a follow-up post following Wednesday to make sure that people are aware what the RSVP like.
But they still wouldn't be able to RSVP because they don't know they won.
we'll still hold the spots for the people that are winning. Like, I
Okay.
see what you're saying, that they might not find out until
Yeah.
after Friday. Regardless, we're gonna keep spots for incoming and outgoing legislators. It's not money, it's not required.
Okay, that was just what my question was, guys. Okay.
Good. Priority will definitely be given to outgoing and incoming legislators.
Someone else had a question.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
sorry.
Okay.
We're good? Okay, cool. Moving on to the next form. We're gonna do SJ awards at inauguration. There's four. They're super awesome, super cool. First one is for Gift of the Year. It's for first year officers, so anybody after May 2024 who is amazing, spectacular, awesome. MVP director, it's only for you guys vote, but it's only director. Pick the best director. Whoever you like, did awesome stuff. Policy Powerhouse is for Ledge. Which legislator did like the most? Grind it out. Vote for them. Or nominate them, sorry. And then Maverick is like in general, who like crushed it. I feel like I use the same word for all of them, but like low key, I think you get what I mean. I put a description to what each award is. Please nominate people. We're gonna be taking the top 3, and then you guys are gonna vote next week. So the forms are done. One more, and then you're done the forms for me. But yeah, so if you guys can do that now, completely anonymous. If you don't know who it is, yeah, take like something and do it. Please. We have 7 animals. We need more than that.
Should we drop it in the ledge channel?
Oh, wait, can we hold off on that for a little while?
Oh.
Let's do that after.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Let's do that.
For one, woohoo. Paper play awards. If you guys have any cute ideas for people around you, just let us know. There are a lot of people and a lot of things that we gotta do. So just let us know for that. Merch. Okay, last form. If you want merch, this is the official binding form. Like you fill this out, you're getting it, you're paying it. You don't want to pay it, I will make you pay it. Like you have to pay for it. Because it's binding. So please don't fill it out unless you really don't want to. It's really cute. We decided on 2. So there's the one that Pragya made with the flag centered in light gray, and then the other one is dark gray with the turtle at the top left. Look, you don't have to do it right now, but like I won't pause for it. But you guys can do it right now if you want. And then I have a bunch of meetings and notes, and no, I don't. I didn't hyperlink my notes, but I will hyperlink them. And then Rec Read, please, if you have any question, wait, can you click on the overview actually really quickly? Yes. Okay, it's like a bunch of pages, I know, but there's like tabs. Like if you have a question about like funding, if you have a question about like sanitation, about accountability, everything is tabbed. Please look through it when you're asking me questions. I will honestly be referencing this because I put everything from the website on this document and made it for TMD. So please like consider that. Thanks, guys. That's everything for me. Sorry, that was really long.
Thank you. Next up is comments for the good of the council. Does anybody here have any?
Awesome. All right, I do have a few. So just please make sure you're just paying attention. Unless you're looking at something that's related, I'm here, please. Awesome. So first and foremost, with regards to like monthly outreach events and stuff, I decided that because April's kind of a short month, that we only have 3 weeks until we have like the transition to the next administration. It doesn't really make sense to like make you guys do that. That being said, there are a ton of initiatives going on right now that require tabling, that require legislative engagement. So I'm not gonna force you to fill out a form or make you do it, but for the sake of everyone's time that they spent preparing for their initiative, I highly encourage you. Question?
So will next Thursday's flag demonstration be an alternative for like office hours or monthly outreach?
100%. That one counts for alternative office, an office hour alternative. The bar tabling at Looney's definitely counts as an office hour alternative. The nutritional tabling also will count as an off-hour alternative. Basically, any event from this point forward will count as an off-hour alternative. Just please make sure if you choose to do that, still submit the assignment, just add a comment saying that you did that instead of just that you did that. So any kind of tabling from this point forward, if it's announced in the Slack and the person's cleared it with me, consider it an off-hour alternative or like a tabling event. But there is no monthly outreach April form. That being said, there is a different assignment, the transition doc. So not surprisingly, not too many people turned it in, totally makes sense. The deadline is in like a few weeks. But it will take time. This isn't something that you can whip out at 11 p.m. unless you're going to ChatGPT it. I prefer you guys not to do that because ChatGPT does not know you and what you've given the work over the past year. And you also really want to make sure that these are meaningful for your successor. You want to make sure that as you're reading the transition doc, they understand what you've done, what kinds of things they can do, like taking your initiative, what next steps they can take. And general advice. You guys have been here for a year. You all have different perspectives on this organization. You all know what works, what doesn't work. Don't let that knowledge go to waste. Like I'm dead serious. SGA is hard. All of you guys know this. SGA is hard when you first come in. You want to give the best words of wisdom to the people that come in after you. So please take time. Also, I want to clarify one tiny thing on the transition doc. It says that there's only a spot for one project. You can totally copy that and add as many projects as you want. Even if a project has not been turned into a bill, even if it's like halfway, even if like you've just been brainstorming and you haven't even talked to anyone about it, flush everything out on that document. Because you never know who's gonna come after and take ideas. Go ahead.
Consider for the fundamentals, it says years 2023 to 2024. Wouldn't it be from 2024 to 2025?
So true. Yes, 2024. I made this document, you guys, over the summer for the people that like were here last year who didn't submit a transition document. Most of you, I think, got one when you came. Like I sent you guys a transition document from your predecessor. If you didn't get one, that means there wasn't one to give. So I really want to make sure that isn't the situation this year. Obviously, we don't have all the seats full. I totally understand that. We don't have an education rep. We don't have a great graduate rep. Totally fine. But as many people as I can give your transition document to, also, if you want to schedule a transition meeting with your representative, that can happen. I will. Okay, just about that. And okay, let's do April 20th. So the Sunday before our last GBM. Please make sure you guys get that in. I'm also not going to be here for our last GBM, so I'm not going to be able to like remind you. So yeah, April 20th is the deadline. Any questions about the transition document, about monthly outreach stuff, off-star stuff? We're so close, guys. We're 3 weeks away from being done. I think we have 2 more off-star weeks until we're done. If you literally want to spend your off-star just planning ahead, that's totally fine. I'm not expecting that you guys like continue doing your initiative, given we have 2 weeks left. If your off-star like, thing says I talked with someone about an initiative, totally fine. Good? Y'all got this. Let's start.
Thank you. What was I? Okay, what's the word? To go off what Leonard was saying, the April 23rd GBM, our last GBM, that's the GBM that all the candidates are required to go to so that they have time to speak to the representative in their seat currently, like that kind of little mini transition meeting that's required per the bylaws. So please arrive early that week. Also, please get here on time next week. We have a really long docket next week, and I know everyone here wants to get through that in a timely manner. And that starts with starting at 6 p.m., not rolling in at 6:05. Does anyone have any? Oh, go ahead.
So is omnibus next week on the 16th, or will it be after the?
It will be the 16th. Like the current bill on the docket, on like the first bill A, that'll be heard next week.
So omnibus is next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were trying to do that also because the 23rd is the day before inauguration, and we were a little bit weary about passing a bunch of things less than 24 hours, which literally like wait. Anyway, sorry. But you know what I mean. So it is next week. Please go to CBL Tuesday. at 4 p.m. It'll make that also so much quicker here. Please talk to each other outside of committee, outside of GBM. If there's anything contentious, reach out to Deborah. She can explain it. You can work out things on the side, so we don't have to bicker too much here. We'll go into committee of a whole for omnibus. If anyone doesn't know, that means like kind of a lax version of debating and discussing, so we don't have to use a bunch of strict parliamentary procedure. Does anyone have any questions on that? You can wear pajamas next week.
Compromise, definitely compromise next week. There's gonna be stuff that you're not gonna agree about that other people want. If it's not a huge deal, try to let it go. It's hard. I've been there. This is like the second or third, fourth, fifth time we've done this. We've been doing this fifth.
It's fun.
Third, fourth. It can be a lot. It's hard, but it's fun.
But like, I'm gonna try to make it go as smooth as possible. But obviously, it's a 50-50 effort. Well, maybe like 80-20. Like, you guys have majority of this. So let's just work together, work this out. Please come next week. If we don't have a quorum, that means we have to meet again at a random time. That's not a Wednesday. So please make sure that we're working efficiently. Yeah, I think that's actually all from me. Did anyone have any questions? I think I asked that already.
Oh my god, it'd be so cool if we met him at McDonald's.
Comment. I have multiple comments. So, as you guys know, as we've just gone over, next week's GBM is going to be really long, unless you guys choose to make it not long, but it has the potential to go very long. So in honor of, it's up to you, but in honor of that, potluck GBM. Woo! So if you want to cook or bring food for the team, we can't do it in here, so it'll have to be in the office. But if anyone wants to come by early, or we can recess and go down and like have treats, I'm gonna cook. If anyone else wants to cook, just slack me, let me know, or just slack me and just surprise me. It'll be fun. Yeah, just bring good food. And then wrap time. Miss Siley, do you want to come up to the mic?
She's so excited.
Don't jump through to the next question.
No, yeah, you can just tilt the mic down a little bit.
Okay, okay, so we start that off with, sworn in on, where basically, Mateo was borrowing Isha's iPad and he got an orange on it and it was sticky. So then we had to surround Ralph that like he wouldn't get sticky the next time. That's not nice. We went to Chipotle and she messed up. They messed up her bowl. It was really frustrating. I was upset. She was upset. But then that happened. So she had a lot of good food.
She got a booty out.
I'm glad.
Collab with that's and then Coach called pregnant first Bill and Leonard, she was doing the whole program. And then we went to the Title IX meeting. She met Frankie, the dog was there, and then she also did what we were sleepy. She was busy on Thursday. Just wait till the next slide. And then she met her sister Ralph B, which is really cute. That was a Health and Wellness and SMP, and she signed an interview with me. Like she was stacked. And then and then she came home with me for the weekend. She had a lot of Indian food. She was vegetarian and gluten-free the whole weekend. She hated it. But, and then she went up and go walk. Yeah. And then she like we stayed after. Chatted it up. She was there. She kind of yeah. And then and then she had Taco Bell. The only thing I can eat there is nachos, so unfortunately that's all she can eat. And then she helped me TA my chem lab. She learned some chemistry. She hated it. She's like, I'm never gonna go in science. So it's a good thing. And then sorry guys, almost done. Oh, she got her blood drawn. Hear her scream. We ended up for a day, but she's good now. We got a Steve kit from UAC. It's just by the way, I should just go to the get. Oh, and then she attended UB Academy. She learned how to stop life-threatening bleeding. She got a certificate and everything. It was awesome. Very fun. She joined the club, by the way. And then she learned about genetics in discussion. It was boring. It took all 2 hours. She was sad. And then, oh, she came to class with me, my immigration law one. She learned a lot. Yeah.
Fantastic work. Now, I think this is our second to last giving of Ralph. So, I don't know how to do this with fanfare because the person who we're giving it to is currently in the middle of the tunnel.
Nate.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh.